All right, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Wildlife Cake and Cocktails Field Special. We've got another interesting show here. We're on the road again. I'm in the car with my buddy and producer, Mr. Christian Summers from Summer Sound Solutions. How you doing, man?
Good morning, Yanni. Not the best sleep, but it's a beautiful day once again out here and really looking forward to everything we're going to get up to.
Yeah, right. So look, guys, we're heading up to the Cooloola area, up to Rainbow Beach. We're going on BioBlitz. We're going to the Cooloola Coast Care Organisation's first BioBlitz of the area. Now, what is a BioBlitz, you might ask? It's basically a short, intensive period of biological survey. So, Cooloola Coast Care and the Fraser Island, I believe supported by the Fraser Island Defenders Organisation, are putting on this fantastic event that is open to the public to come and explore the field area and a couple of sites that they have around in the Cooloola Sands Beach National Park area, and basically try to find out what species of plants, insects, birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and everything else that they can identify are in the area. So that's where we're going. We're going to Rainbow Beach. We're going to BioBlitz, and I'm excited. Christian, you?
Definitely excited as well, Yanni. So just tell us why is this kind of event important? What's the significance?
Well, look, I mean, it's always important to kind of have a bit of a baseline of what kind of ecological stuff you have in an area. A lot of the times this is for an organisation like the Cooloola Coast Care Organisation that do a lot of environmental management, coastline management, invasive species management, all kinds of really important ecological and environmental management work up here. It is important to know what you're dealing with. So having a really good foundation of basically an inventory of the species and their distributions and their, what you're dealing with in your local environment is really important for conservation management groups like Cooloola Coast Care and others. So, and on top of that, these events are open to the public. So there's going to be, while it's going to be guided by professional scientists, ecologists, and there's going to be hopefully some pitfall traps and a couple of other funnel traps and things that do really require a bit of scientific licenses and permits to operate, there's going to be members of the public there with us and being led by the environmental teams, various different environmental teams on these surveys to different locations. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to get the local community and the public involved in local ecosystems as well.
And I guess as well that would give the public a pretty great insight, would you say, into the kind of methods that are being used by ecologists and biologists as well.
Absolutely, definitely the field methods. How to identify, how to survey, how to observe, and even in some instances, I suppose, how to trap. And there's also, often as BioBlitzers do, there's a lot of conferences from all of these professionals who are going to be there. So there will be some, quite likely some interesting talks on how this data is going to be used downstream for analysis and then further management, which could be quite interesting. So, I guess we don't really know what we're getting into. This is my first time going on BioBlitz. I've heard of them before, and unfortunately haven't been able to make it down. So this is my first BioBlitz as well. So I'm very excited to get out there, and it's just nice to be up on the beautiful Sunshine Coast area once again.
Well, that definitely makes two of us, and I'm really looking forward as well to seeing what all this is about. I guess we hear a lot about these things more or less secondhand, but today we are going to get a pretty unique insight into what these groups are doing, and also hopefully get to see what kinds of flora and fauna are native to these areas, endemic to these areas. And
there is some very cool species in the area, particularly frog fauna in the Cooloola Sands area is quite interesting. There's a few of the crinia or acid frogs that occur in the area, such as the Wallam sedge frog and I believe the Cooloola sedge frog are both potentially in the area. These are pretty interesting. The Wallamy heath waters around here are pretty low pH, quite acidic, and these frogs are fairly well adapted to these coastal heath waters, and their frogs and larvae develop really well in these quite acidic waters, which would not work so well for a lot of other frog fauna if they were trying to breed in those stream systems.
Yeah, so they can be quite inhospitable to other types of frogs, amphibians in particular.
Absolutely, and those acid frogs can definitely, the Crinia genus can definitely take a bit more advantage of it than others can. There's also things like the snake-tooth, I believe the snake-tooth skink, the reticulated snake-tooth skink, I believe is one of the other threatened species of reptile that is up here. They're a small semi-fossorial burrowing little skinked lizard. They're quite beautiful, actually, kind of a creamy colour with a beautiful black reticulation and some other beautiful pattern to them. So, hoping we find one of them in the pitfalls if we get the chance. And plenty of other cool stuff. There's powerful owls. There's actually a lot of migratory bird sites around here as well. I believe the eastern curlew that we spoke about with Harry Sadler on one of our last shows has been recorded up here in some of the Tin Can Bay wetlands and feeding areas. So that could be interesting.
I was just going to say that is there sort of appropriate wetlands and mudflats out this way for them, like to find food during their migration.
There goes a big cuckoo pheasant. That was a big. I believe that was a big cuckoo pheasant. There is the Tin Can Bay wetland area, which does support a decent amount of, I understand, migratory bird life, and this whole Cooloola Sands area, the whole Rainbow Beach area of basically between Noosa and up to Hervey Bay, also home to particularly with Hervey Bay up there, home to a lot of marine life. So there's probably going to be some whale spotting from the beaches. And stuff like that. So and look, always great to get up here to the Sunshine Coast, to the beachy area. I don't know about you, man. I know you said you didn't sleep so good, but I slept great. And look, one of the second advantages of getting away a little bit is you stay at somebody else's house and you have that shower and you get to use all their bath products. You know what I mean? I can keep it pretty Spartan when I need to. I just wash the hair, brush the teeth, I'm done. It's nice using like a Moroccan hair oil shampoo and like what was it? I found a spruce body scrub. So thank you so much to our good friends Andrew and Clemmy for putting us up for the evening. I smell like potpourri right now. I'm delicious, and my skin is smooth and like a baby's ass. It's great.
And I can say that that's quite unusual.
Yeah, I'm usually a bit stinkier and rougher than this, being in the wildlife trade. But hey, it's nice to smell like a box of flowers or some lovely birch. So yeah, I'm having a great time on the Sunshine Coast and heading to BioBlitz myself. So loving it.
Yeah, it's great. It's definitely lovely where we stayed. We had a nice evening out on the up on the hill there, looking down at the beach. It's been beautiful, and that's just the start, really, isn't it? And I think what we're going to see today is probably going to be even better than that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, Sunshine Beach is beautiful, but it's pretty heavily populated. The Cooloola Sands area that we're going to, we're going to be in some pretty remote parts of the Cooloola Sands National Park and the Great Sandy National Park, just south of the World Heritage listed Hervey Bay and Fraser Island National Park regions. So it is quite a beautiful area. Even driving through, we're seeing some amazing country. So looking forward to getting to site and meeting some of the amazing ecological crew down there and some of the folks from Cooloola Coast Care and whatnot. And I guess we'll be getting into it.
Yes, indeed. So I think we're probably about 30-40 minutes out at the moment from location. So we're really enjoying this drive. We've already seen quite a number of what's the word? Like
black-shouldered kites. I think we saw some few other birds of prey, a few other kite species, maybe Australian kites, whistling kites, maybe, and a few beautiful wallabies, kangaroos, and along those wetlands, obviously, a lot of moorhens and wader, freshwater herons and wading birds and things like that. So, always a beautiful drive up through here, up towards the Tin Can Bay Rainbow Beach area, and obviously. With a little bit of rain, it may, and some nice sun now. Hoping to see maybe a few reptiles out and about. So keeping our eyes very much peeled on these roads out here.
Well, it wouldn't be a complete trip for Yanni without seeing some amazing, preferably large reptiles. Maybe we might find some monitors. Is that possible?
There's a good chance of monitor lizards up here, yeah. Look, I mean, anytime you're in the Great Sandy National Park, lace monitors are going to be around. Yeah, we'll see. I believe, is it... I'm not remembering the genus name of the snake-tooth skink, but if anybody can correct me, I think it's Serranoscincus. We'll check that out when we get down there. But yeah, that snake-tooth skink I would really love to see. That would be very, very, very cool for me.
And hey, maybe multiple.
Hey.
And some strange colour morphs as well.
Yeah, of course.
Wouldn't that be great? All right, Yanni, well, we'll continue driving and we'll talk to you guys soon.
No worries, folks. We'll catch up with you when we're down at Rainbow Beach at the Great Sandy National Park and the Cooloola BioBlitz.
All right, peace, guys. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, here we are, guys, and we are a little bit off-road. I'm currently driving along a nice sandy track, and we're surrounded by some beautiful Wallam heathland. I'm in my all-wheel drive in low range, and we're cutting our way through a bit of a track, and we're heading up to find a couple of ecologists who are up here for the BioBlitz. There's a couple of wonderful frog ecologists that we're going to go meet at the moment, and we're going to go check out one of the sites I believe known as the Fens. Is that right, Christian?
Yeah, that's what they mentioned to us before when we met up at home base at the community hall, and I said it's quite lovely. Even just this track, we can see on our right bushfires probably come through. Maybe a couple of weeks ago.
Maybe even longer by the look of some of the regrowth, but all the grass trees are beautifully grown back. There's a lot of Banksias and a lot of low eucalypt, so very typical sort of Wallam coastal heathland type of environment. If you've ever been in the sort of Sunshine Coast hinterland and seen all that beautiful Banksia and up and grass trees kind of growing up after some of the fires, that's what we're looking at right now, and it is quite beautiful.
Yeah, we actually, there was the forecast for rain the entire weekend. Wasn't there before, but it's actually quite clear and lovely and sunny today. So that worked in our favour. Either way, we were going to come out, doesn't matter. we would stomach the discomfort, wouldn't we?
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, look, definitely having that little bit of rain was definitely going to be good, because it's been so dry out here that without any rain, we probably wouldn't have seen too much. So having a little bit of rain isn't exactly a bad thing for us.
Especially for those frogs later on this evening, for the frog hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, for frogs, reptiles, anything that's going to be out here and moving around on the ground, want a bit of moisture is definitely going to be helpful.
Yeah, hoping to get a drink.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll be catching up with our frog experts for the Cooloola BioBlitz shortly. And when we do, we'll be having a bit of a chat and walking around the Fens. So we'll see you then. All right, and we're down here at a site called the Fens, which really looks like some lovely Wallam heathland with some swampy wateriness coming through it. And we're here with Jono Hooper, the president of the Queensland Frog Society, and Ben Revell, environmental science student at Southern Cross Uni, and also vice president of the Queensland Frog Society. Jono, how you doing, man?
Yeah, not bad, thanks.
Yeah, nice. A lovely day out here. And Ben, how's yourself?
Yeah, going very well.
No worries. You guys do look a little bit tired when we showed up in the morning. You guys have already been out frogging pretty heavily, is that right?
Yeah, we were out till 1 a.m. last night.
Yeah, 1 a.m.
Jesus. Is that pretty typical for you guys? I mean, obviously frogs out at night, but so you guys are pretty much spending a lot of late nights at the moment.
Yeah, not too much just recently, but yeah, late nights are fairly typical of frogging, if not later.
Yeah, just trying to find locations so we can take people out for this BioBlitz and see what's out and about at the moment, which hasn't been much.
Yeah, well, look, it has been fairly dry. And we did have a little bit of rain on the way, and we, at least last night, and hopefully a little bit more tonight. So maybe we'll get some good luck. So we're down at the Fens right now, which we're hoping will be a good spot. Do you want to describe to us this site a little bit, Jono?
Yeah, so it's basically Wallam heathland. A lot of heathland vegetation, a lot of sedges and other heathy plants. And in amongst it all, you've got sort of open areas of small bodies of water that the frogs will like to use to breed in. So yeah, it's fairly flat, very open, and yeah, it's quite a unique ecosystem actually. It's got quite a shallow water table. When you get a lot of rain, that brings the water table up, and then it sits above the ground, and that provides the right sort of conditions for these frogs to breed. Because if the water's around too long, then if fish are introduced, then they'll eat up the tadpole eggs, or the frog eggs rather. And if it doesn't hang around long enough, then the tadpoles don't get enough chance to develop and get out of the water as frogs.
Right, so it's kind of good for these waterways to be a little bit ephemeral and popping up like those windows as they do for at least for frog development.
Yeah, definitely. You know, sort of 6 to 8 weeks is ideal for these species. They can sort of speed up their development a bit if they need to, but 6 to 8 weeks is what you sort of aim for.
Yeah, very cool. And Ben, so we're here looking, I guess, a lot for the crinia or acid frogs. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's 4 acid frogs found in this area, and so this is a good site for the Wallam sedge frogs, for crinia, like you say, crinia tinula, and the Wallam rocket frogs, Freycinetti, Litoria freycinetti. Yeah. Yeah,
very cool. And have you guys already had a bit of success in the last couple or last night, however long you've been out?
We haven't had much success. We found 2 Wallam sedge frogs, which are a near threatened species, so that was good to see them. Or vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a fascinating little sedge frog out in these Wallamy heaths. It looks, fairly similar to Litoria phalanx, the common sedge frog, but these Wallamy areas are very specific to that species, I understand.
Yeah, that's right. Habitat's a very big indicator for what frog you're looking at in these parts. They're also a bit pointier, got some different colours, a lot more blue on them usually.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, look, is there any sites you guys are super keen on around here for the rest of the BioBlitz that you think are going to be big for the frogs?
Yeah, so tonight we're sort of looking at going to Lake Poona. Fingers crossed we get some rain, because out there is a really good population of the Cooloola sedge frog.
Oh, really? That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, really cool frog. Similar again to the eastern sedge frog, but another Wallam or acid specialist, so it likes a really acidic water. And quite pretty too. It's got lots of little black flecks on its back. And yeah, really sort of pretty orange, bright thigh colour. And yeah, just really cool frog out that way.
Yeah, cool. So that's the Cooloola sedge frog. Okay, cool. And what time are you guys heading out to go look at that? Is that a late night mission, I imagine?
So maybe around 7:30 we'll head out. There's about a 2k walk there and then back again. So yeah, we'll have a few people along with us. And hopefully we'll finish up around 9ish. But yeah, there's a lot of things to see on the way there too. So yeah, we'll see how many stops we make along the way.
Yeah, right. Well, it is just an absolutely beautiful area, and I guess opportunistically, there's going to be some really interesting spottings and things. I was mentioning earlier that we are in taipan territory, and I would love to see one. And then Ben says that he saw one the other day, roadkill, unfortunately, but they are in the area. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. They should be all through this habitat.
Yeah, bit of a challenge to find though, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's right. Never seen one.
Yeah. Right. That said, have you guys spent a bit of time herping around in the area? I mean, obviously being froggers, you're out looking a lot, but do you guys generally spend a bit of time herping out in this sort of north of the Sunshine Coast region?
Yeah, well, I live up in Bundaberg now, so I spend most of my time north of the Sunshine Coast.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I've been to this site, not this fen, but this site, probably 4 times now. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And you're always finding something interesting when you come out here, or just a bit of a luck of the draw, I imagine, like most herping?
It depends what you're into. If you're into herps, then it's hit and miss. But if you're into inverts, there's a lot of cool spiders around here and things like that as well.
Yeah, I hear you guys actually have a bunch of fairly cool spiders that you collected last night for us to have a look at once we get back to camp. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Ben collected a fair few specimens last night. Undescribed, he said. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. It's a new genus that's just been described late last year or early this year, and so they're still looking around, seeing what other species they can get of them.
That's awesome. And you've got a bunch of them in some containment for us to have a look at when we get back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. We collected 5. They're in the Ornodolometes genus, so it's a nursery spider. Yeah.
Ornodolometes nursery spider. That's super cool.
Yeah, they are cool. They're very attractive looking spiders.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, I'm very much looking forward to seeing them. Guys, I guess we better get out of this fen. We'll get back on the track and have a bit of a look around. And guys, definitely hope we can catch up and have a look at these spiders and probably go frogging later tonight.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, we'd be happy to have you.
Yeah, should be fun.
Awesome. All right. What do you reckon, Christian? Shall we get out of here and get into some shade?
Yeah, before I get eaten by these massive ants the size of my finger. Yeah.
All right. There's some. Yeah. My producer's pretty much sitting on a nice ant mound to get the right audio. So we're going to move on and we'll catch up with you guys soon. All right, we're back here at the Rainbow Beach Community Hall, which is our centre of operations for the Cooloola BioBlitz. And we're here again with Ben Revell from the Southern Cross University, Vice President of the Queensland Frog Society. And what are we looking at here, man? These are the spiders you were telling us about.
Yeah, so these are some of the newly described genus spiders, Ornodolometes, that we found last night here at Rainbow Beach in the rainforest sections at Cooloola Cove, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So Ornodolometes, and a newly described species as of this year.
Yeah, that's right. So a fresh paper by Robyn just came out this year. He's redescribed the Pisoridae family, which is the nursery spiders and fishing spiders. And so he's added this genus in, and there's a heap of new species that are being found for it now.
That's super cool. So these are all going to go and obviously be examined a little bit further, maybe even used for species level IDs?
Yeah, that's right. So these will probably be described as new species because they're separate from all the others and they look a little bit different. So they'll go to Robert Raven at the Queensland Museum and he'll work on them from there.
That is super cool. What's different about these guys that you personally can notice?
As a whole, this species is quite variable, but some of these that I found last night have a lot more white hair on them, a lot more tufts growing from them, and sort of as a general, they're slightly larger as well.
So it's slightly larger than most of the other nursery spiders and so on? Well,
not the nursery spiders, but the Ornodolometes genus, yeah. Because this family of Pisoridae spiders has the biggest spider in Australia recorded in it, the Megadolometes australis.
And is that one of our bird eaters, is it?
That's a big fishing spider, so they can eat fish, frogs, all sorts of things like that.
Oh, wow. So, okay, yeah, of course, with the nursery spiders, there's also all those aquatic spiders as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, and how were these guys found? Were you just eye shining for these things, or how did you come across and bag these guys up?
Yeah, well, we do eye shine these. They're found on really low shrubs in the rainforest, just sitting on leaves. It's quite amazing that no one's actually described them or found them or even brought specimens into the museum before. Yeah,
well, I mean, if anybody's been out eye shining, spiders are one of the easier things to find.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, right. Look, having being an arachnid and having that kind of multiple eyes facing in multiple directions, your torch and your eye shine is going to catch them pretty much almost at any angle, and so they're going to be kind of easy to eye shine at night. But I guess there's just that many spiders, right? I mean, it's going to take a while to describe them all, I suppose.
Yeah. Spiders is a big understudied thing in Australia. So there's a couple of people working on it, Robert Raven and Robert White. Robert White just brought out a new field guide, but there's a lot of gaps in our knowledge in Australian spiders.
Fascinating. So obviously a lot of new species hopefully in the way in the future, at least in the Ornodolometes, and probably a bunch of other genuses and families as well, I imagine.
Yeah, that's right. Most likely there's going to be a whole lot more genus, a whole lot more study, especially if they start bringing in the genetic work with it as well.
Yeah, right. Well, look, that is the case a lot of the time. You do a bunch of molecular, morphological work and you find a bunch of things and a bunch of differences, and then you add the molecular differences on top of that and you find even more species, right?
Yeah, that's right. So at the moment, most of these spiders are worked off their genitalia level for the males. So if two spiders that look very similar from different areas have different genitals, they know that they can't interbreed, so they know that they're different species.
Yeah, right. And then, of course, there's going to be some cryptic diversity that only molecular markers are really going to be able to find as well on top of that, I imagine.
Yeah, that's right too. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Well, look, I am just excited to be literally right now holding a pretty much undescribed species, a new genus. As of this year. So that is, fascinating. Absolute pleasure. They are a beautiful spider looking at them. I can see what you mean about those white tufts and those patches of white along the forelegs and stuff. They are Wow, they're really quite stunning. That's really cool, man. Thank you for this. This has been super sweet.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
All right, guys. We'll be back with you later on tonight, and maybe even more with Ben and Jono when we go out frogging, and maybe even find a few more of these spiders if we're lucky. All right, guys. Talk soon. Okay, so we are down at the mangrovey area here at Rainbow Beach, and sorry. Carlo Point of Rainbow Beach, and this is BioBlitz in action. We were actually just getting ready to podcast when we noticed a few inverts that had not yet been recorded. So we're here with a few volunteers and ecologists who are rampantly taking photos of bivalves and I think it was a small mollusk or a little gastropod on one of the mangrove leaves over there. And yeah, we're down here on the mangrove flats. This is awesome. Now we're here with some wonderful people. We've got Mr. Kevin Jackson, a volunteer for the Cooloola Coast Care Group, as well as Robyn Jackson, former bureaucrat, now ecological volunteer with Cooloola Coast Care. And we've also got Zeela here from FIDO, that's the Fraser Island Defenders Organisation. I'll get that right one day. How's everyone's day been? Busy out here?
Yes, been great.
Very good.
Yeah.
We came into this area which had been previously documented as having 3 species and found 42.
Wow. So that's a huge...
So it's just reflecting that work needs to be done here to document what we've got.
Yeah, right. And look, even before we got here, you were saying that you guys had found 4 species of mangrove in this area just this morning, which, you know, was a little bit unexpected. Is that right?
One. Well, there was one already. No.
There was one documented already. We also spoke to another group at lunchtime and they'd found 2 at the area they're in, but we found 4 separate ones just in this little area here.
Wonderful. That's a lot of diversity for, you know, what ostensibly looks like every other mangrove samplet that I've seen.
It's just a matter of looking for those tiny differences, whether the leaf is a different shape, whether it's got a slightly different habit. So let's have a look.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, there's obviously a couple of different looking mangroves here right in front of us.
Have a look at these ones here, because those spikes in the ground are one of the ways of identifying that particular one, which is the grey mangrove, the common name. And I think everyone knows what the spikes feel like under their feet.
That's right, that's right. So those are the upwards growing roots of the mangrove. Pneumatophore, is that right? Is that what I'm thinking? Something else?
Babies.
Yeah.
Getting a bit technical there.
It's actually the roots, so I don't think that is the babies. I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure that's the root of the. I think it's called.
They're called pencil-size, peg-type, above-ground roots. There you go. That's my documentation that says that. So.
Yeah, wonderful. And look, that's obviously one of the things that makes BioBlitz so awesome is that there is a lot of documentation back at home base that you can take out in the field and have experts out in the field help you do all this stuff, because obviously. Not everybody out here is a PhD, and you don't necessarily have to be.
That is correct.
The other thing that you can use to validate this mangrove compared to another one, which is very similar, is the back of... Oh, look at that. We found another little one while we're looking.
Oh, it's a different one.
Oh, look, we've just found another, well, what looks like a small periwinkle to me.
Yes, it does. I was trying to think of what the shell was.
Well, look, it's very beautiful, fantastically patterned, and look, basically any time we're finding a new species like this, it gets recorded, and it all goes back to the database for the Cooloola BioBlitz, which I understand gets uploaded to the Atlas of Living Australia towards the end.
Right.
Yeah.
No worries. So all of this data does actually get collected and collated together on ALA, which is probably the best database for biological observations, well, the most comprehensive that there is in Australia at the moment.
So what I was trying to show you was the back of these leaves has the little brown spots all over it, and that identifies it from its closest relative, I suppose you could say. Okay?
Right. So
Yeah.
what species is this?
This is Avicennia marina.
Right. So this is the grey mangrove that we're looking at right here.
It is the most common coastal mangrove.
So that's pretty much the one that we're pretty familiar with down in Brisbane and all the way down south?
It's east coast of Australia, south corner of Victoria, all the way west coast, out to Bunbury.
Wow, that's a huge distribution.
It's the common one.
Right, so, you know, obviously the other species that we have around here, there's one right behind me that has a very different leaf.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it's... where are we? I'd say it's the red mangrove.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the red one, that one.
Yes.
If we go up this way, we can probably more easily see the difference. There's 3 different ones just up along here.
Okay, well look, let's go for a bit of a walk then, and we'll turn the recorder back on once we're at a different spot of this mangrove, hey? Yep. All right, guys, we'll talk soon.
This is the one we're expecting.
Okay, so we're a little bit further up the mangrove beach now, and we've got a very different looking mangrove tree here. It's got some really cool claw-like flowers with some amazingly plantain banana-ish, like small plantain banana-ish looking fruit bodies coming out of it. So obviously this one's reproducing at the moment.
That's correct, it is. And it'll grow, the big trees will grow from the thing that Sue's got in her hand there. Zeela, sorry.
And that's called a mangrove fruit, I guess?
Well, yeah, we used to call them pencils when we were kids because they drop off on the beach and you draw in the sand with them.
They do look very pencil-like. That's true. They're just amazing looking. So this is obviously very different from the grey mangrove that we saw before. This is
a large orange mangrove, a large-leaved orange mangrove. And one of the distinguishing characteristics of this one, apart from its lovely fruit that we've seen, are these knees on the ground. Can you see, if you can show some of those knees on the ground?
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. So, look, for our listeners at home who aren't looking, there's going to be photos up of this, of course. But the roots of this particular species kind of come up and bend and then go back into the ground like the tree's kind of sticking its knees up all up around through the sand around us.
That's correct.
That's really really kind of cool. So yeah, wow. I had no idea what we were walking over. I thought a lot of this was kind of dead leftover mangrove, but this is just a specific species feature of this type of mangrove.
It is, and they spread out quite a way. The roots belong to, a lot of those roots will belong to that mangrove over there, which is 10 feet, 20 foot away, and some of them get quite large, the area. If you ever see a much more mature tree than that, the knees can be, you can actually stand on them, and they're like 2 feet high.
Oh wow.
They're huge, they're massive. If you ever see some really old ones, these are quite young, relatively young actually, but mangroves live for a very, very long time. They've done a lot of carbon dating on mangroves up around the mouth of the Mary and Susan River, and there's some ancient mangroves up there. It's just incredible the length of time they live for.
Right, so these are some pretty old established ecosystems then, and very important for all of the native bird life and plant life and waterways in the area. And
healthy waterways, of course, keeping the waterways healthy and the marine life, what more importance is there? And this is part of the reef as well. The actual barrier reef actually comes down. It's affected by all the waters that run out around the Cooloola coast, so it's an incredibly important ecological area.
Right, so all the runoff that's going into the waters that we're seeing down here is eventually going to affect Harvey Bay. It's going to affect all the cetaceans on their migration, and it's going to affect all the coral reefs that are just out there beyond view from us right now.
Yes, that's correct.
Right, and on top of this mangrove, there's also several other species here for us to look at.
If we go back here, a bit further back, you see the ones this way aren't as clumpy. You can see they're more individual trees. There's one over in that direction there, but it's a much clumpier species, and that identifies it as a separate species in itself.
All right, well, let's hike over there a little bit and have a bit of a closer look.
Okay.
I always think these are really one big thing. They're all like connected under the ground.
Yeah, when you see all the roots and things intertwined like that, you can see that it is all one connected ecosystem quite well.
And
right?
Sand is well known for its filtering properties.
Yeah.
So basically, this is just a massive bank of sand. It's just filtering all that stuff, and the mangroves are part of that too. They clean the water.
Yeah, right. So obviously, being a nursery is just one of the features that's really important about mangroves. Okay. Yeah. So let's sneak in between here.
There's a really small mangrove by comparison here. It only grows to 4 metres tall. Others get into be really big trees, up to 20 metres and plus, but this is a 4 metre one. It clumps, so it'll form quite a cluster. It's got much smaller leaves, and as you can see, they're oval as opposed to pointy.
Yes, certainly much smaller and a lot more numerous.
Yes, and a paler colour generally too, so they only go to 7 centimetres long. If you look at the backs of the leaves, they have glands on them for secreting salt. You can actually lick, if you ever stuck out in the wilderness or in the mangrove swamp, you can have a lick of the salt if you want some salts for some reason.
If you haven't had enough from all the saline seawater that you've been drinking because you ran out of fresh water.
Yeah.
Surviving Robinson Crusoe style.
These ones actually have a fruit, it's a long skinny fruit. They're not actually flowering at the moment, so we can't see that unfortunately, but they have a long skinny red pencil as opposed to the other ones which were quite thick. And they don't have above ground roots. You know, the other ones we've looked at have had really obvious root systems. This one doesn't have an obvious root system. It's really all about the leaves on this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So this is the river mangrove.
This is the river mangrove.
Yeah, wonderful.
I'm not going to try and pronounce the
Let's
botanical name.
I'm going to steal your BioBlitz sheet and I'm going to give it a shot anyway. Agiceras corniculatum. Agiceras corniculatum, I guess.
Probably pretty good.
All right. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And yeah, beautiful little mangrove. And yeah, next to all these other trees that we've got, you can see that it is very different.
Oh, hang on. There you go. What are these?
Well, that's what
There you go. Look at they've already flowered and fruited. There's just little bits still in there.
Oh yeah, okay.
They're quite small by compared to all the other big ones we've seen. They're not going to have those big bits that you can play with on the beach as kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Not as exciting.
Yeah. Wow.
They flower up to September. The fruit won't be until January, February. Okay. So that fits with what we can see there.
Yeah. Okay. So that helps confirm the idea a little bit. Wow.
Well, I hope it does. We're not experts, so we're hoping that we've got the ID correct. We'll have to double check it with experts when we get back to base.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's part of the nature of BioBlitz, isn't it? It is a citizen science community activity that is not exclusive to doctors and PhD ecologists and stuff like that. We actually want to get the community involved in doing this kind of stuff. Is that right?
That's exactly what it's about.
Yeah. Cool. And getting people more involved in their local ecosystems, always a good thing.
And if you want to look at another aspect of the ecosystem, those are all crab holes.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, wow.
Round holes. Actually, see that one? That's a really good unbroken one. There's another one there.
Yeah, right. So you can obviously see a lot of the little crabs burrowing into the sandbank around the mangrove roots.
Yeah, so there's a lot of other creatures that depend on the mangroves as well.
Yeah, right. So I can imagine when that high tide comes in, this is all going to turn into a whole lively affair.
Absolutely. And recruitment of young fish of the type which fishermen love to catch when they're big and mature and out in the ocean really depends on areas like this, because when we talk about recruitment, we're talking about little baby ones that don't tolerate the full salinity of the ocean. So these kind of wetlands are where they grow and get big enough, and then eventually they can and they swim out. So we don't sort of sometimes realise that all the fun fishing really depends on these kind of humble, unspectacular places where recruitment takes place and reproduction.
Well, these mangrove nurseries are, a lot of reef fish, basically migrate in here to spawn and breed before, the developing adults go back out to the reefs, or so I understand.
Well, I understand that too.
All right. Well, look, guys, we're going to keep having a look around and see what else we can find. And if there's anything interesting, we'll switch the recorders back on. Cheers, guys. Okay, so I'm holding two very beautiful bluish purple fruit in my hand. Now, I've been told that these are one of the best eating fruits of any Australian native. Is that correct?
That's what the botanist says. That's what the botanist told us.
Now, okay, so if you're running around anywhere in the bush, don't randomly eat fruit. We're out here with some field ecologists and at a tree that has been identified by Cooloola Coast Care's, professional botanist hired for this BioBlitz. But what is this plant that I'm currently holding? What's it called?
Syzygium olisum.
Elysium.
Elysium. So it's a type of lily pilly, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Right. This looks unlike any lily-pilly I've seen before.
Oh, same shape, just a different colour. That's all.
Right. Okay. Well, in the nature of science. Oh,
They're sweet.
that's interesting. That's really interesting. It still has that sort of
Bush.
yeah,
flavour.
and a little bit astringent, a little bit almost peppery. It's it's got like a lovely black pepper aftertaste almost, but it is sweet and sugary. That's fascinating. Hey, Christian, you gonna eat one?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat one.
All right, I'm passing you one right here.
All right, my hands are full, so just put it
All right,
in.
I'm gonna pop it in your mouth, man. I'm gonna stick it in. I'm gonna hand feed you.
Let's get a video of me eating this. Yeah.
That peppery aftertaste is really surprising, but very, very nice. Wow, that's amazing. There's some really cool bush fruits around here, apparently.
We are in the middle of a food forest, if we only knew how to interpret it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that we walked past that on our way down, and took no notice of it, and then you guys walk us past, and on the way back, and that is one of the most bizarre and incredible tastes I've had for a long time. That's really cool. Are these common in the area?
Moderately.
We don't know the answer to that because
That's
that's really what the BioBlitz is about, is
Yeah.
trying to determine the numbers of these sorts of things that are around and exactly what areas they're in. So it's really difficult to know because we've only found the one in this area today.
Yeah, right. So, they could be a lot more common in other areas. They might not. I guess
Well,
that's what these BioBlitzes are all about.
Yeah, I'm basing my answer on the fact that when I took the photo back at lunchtime, people readily said, oh, that's...
Yes.
Okay, so locals do know of this plant fairly well. Wow, that's very cool. Well, that is a really bizarre experience. Its taste is still in my mouth, kind of peppery but very sweet and a little bit astringent. Very, very cool.
We can give you the astringent to get rid of that now if you'd like.
What do you got?
Well, we got another
two
CGM
things.
up here.
All right,
Two
let's have a look.
things in
I'll put
store.
more things in my face. Let's go. If people know me, I'm not too opposed to eating weird stuff. But you've got a more astringent one for me.
Yes, it's another lily. It's another lily pilly.
And, for our listeners who don't know the lily pilly, they're typically kind of a pinkish, reddish fruit. And they can have quite a strong sort of astringent taste, but they are sweet and they are very vibrant. Ooh, these look different. Wow. A white lily pilly. Look at these, man. Wow. So this is very different compared to the normal lily pilly that I've seen as well.
They
But
almost look like little nashi pears, don't they?
yeah, they're
They do.
they're white with a little bit of like lilac hue to them. That's bizarre.
They're also sour.
These are more tart.
Yeah, these are more like the lily pillies.
They're more like
those
what you
common
expect,
pink
aren't
ones.
they?
Yeah, that's more like your regular lily pilly.
Yeah, they're firmer.
Mm-hmm.
You go and pick him some of yellow fruit. Where is the yellow fruit?
Oh, you got a yellow one.
It's a bit further, that one.
Okay, let's have a look. Wow, I really like that one. I'm taking another one. I do like sour things. That's incredible.
You might like the next one then.
Even more sour.
Well, the interesting thing I always found with bush food, it's like
That's incredible.
all fruits, they've an acquired taste because we don't eat them regularly or know that they're edible.
Right, we acquired the taste for apple and orange and watermelon when we were young.
I'll try and
Yes,
find them.
and the Australian bush food is different. It's like Southeast Asia with things like durians and those.
Right, it's something that you may have to find an appreciation for a little bit, but
That's right.
if you can, my God, they're amazing.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
All right, wow. Well, look, we'll keep hunting for weird things for me to eat. All right, guys, we'll switch the recorder back on once. Oh, hang on, I think we found it. Let's go for a little wonder. And obviously, all of these edible plants as well are being recorded for the botany part of the BioBlitz. We're wandering into a bit of scrub now. All right, guys, we'll turn the recorder back on once we find this thing. All right, guys. Cheers. Okay, so we've got another lily pilly here. What's up?
no.
No, this isn't. This is different.
Acronychia.
Acronychium. imperforata.
Acronychium imperforata. Okay. And does this have a particular common name or not really?
It's called a coastal aspen.
A coastal.
Coastal aspen.
Okay. And obviously some small, beautiful yellow fruit. And you're telling me that this is going to be rather astringent.
Yes,
Okay. Let's do it.
definitely.
All right. All right. I'm picking one of them now. You know, it's about the size of a small marble. Beautiful. It's kind of pale yellow. All right. Whoa! Woo! Oh, my face wants to turn inside out a little bit, but it's sweet. And
You have to give one to me as well.
yeah.
They're
Finding
not
one.
what you're
Yeah.
expecting.
No, absolutely not. But
You haven't got any hands.
Put a lot of people off after they've tasted all our European and
no, I love it. That's fantastic. Look, if you like strong tastes, it's what you're in for with a lot of these bush fruits, obviously. But man, that's it's fascinating. It's sweet. It's sour. That's incredible. One for Christian.
Yes, please.
All right.
Grab this here.
All right.
he doesn't want this one full in the mouth in one.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Hang on, wait.
Oh yeah. Wow. That's
lot of
intense.
flavour.
Yeah, a lot of flavour.
Yeah, man, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that flavor's coming to get you. That's really interesting.
You were warned.
No, I was warned for, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I still ate it.
Yeah, we did. No, we got. That's part of what we.
Wow,
we
that's
do.
fantastic. I'm actually going to
You
take another
risk
one with me. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to head back to base camp shortly after we have a look at a few more of these vines. Do you want to? There was one large vine that you wanted to tell me about.
Yep.
Let's head over there while we're. All right.
This one, I wasn't involved in finding this one. But it's a pretty awesome vine.
It is now. Obviously, a lot of this coastal foresty stuff is going to be a little bit thick to get through with a lot of vine, but this is fairly open, and the vine here is, you know, about the same size as the acacia tree that it's leaning against. That is a monstrous vine. What are we dealing with here, Kevin?
It's a Cissus hyperglauca. It belongs to the same family as the grape, native grape, is it?
The native grape.
Yeah, the native grape's the
Native Sissa.
Antarctica variety. But we don't think this one has a fruit. Or we're unfamiliar with it.
It has a blue fruit, but
Oh,
whether it's
okay.
edible or not, I couldn't tell you. It
Okay.
has a small blue fruit, about the size of a small marble.
Okay.
How
And
you do.
about the same as the lily pilly, the first one that we had.
No, the acronychia there.
About the acronychia size. Okay. And you guys found this one here this morning.
We did. And everyone calls this the Tarzan vine because it loops from tree to tree with those great big massive thick loops of vine.
I can see why. It's almost got the the trunk thickness of some of the smaller trees around here, and yet it's climbing all the way up into the canopy.
It is, and this is the one which the Gubby Gubby people call a U-roll. There's an area of country of wet sclerophyll forest just near Pomona called the U-roll State Forest. If you go there, the entire forest is just festooned with these incredible vines.
Wow, they're absolutely beautiful. Now, I'm not noticing a lot of foliage on them down low. Do they kind of wait until they're up in the canopy to really get their leaves up where they get more light?
As they mature and climb up the tree, the foliage is up in the canopy of the tree, yes, for more light.
That's it up there. You
Yeah.
can see it.
Oh, right, yeah. So obviously up there where it gets nice and, lush and covered, that's all the foliage from this actual giant vine here in front of it.
That's right, yes. Most of these vines, as I say, as they mature and climb the trees, the majority of their foliage is up in the light in the canopy.
Well,
Photosynthesize.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, it seems to make sense in all this kind of low coastal, almost rainforesty stuff. The canopy gets pretty dense, so everybody's kind of trying to get up there and fight for the highest spot to get a bit of light. Is that right?
That's quite right.
Wonderful. All right. Well, look, let's head on back towards base camp, and we've got a bit more BioBlitz action coming at you guys very shortly. Talk soon. All right, we're back down here at the mangroves, and we're with Amelia and Kelvin Nielsen. although Amelia has wandered off with her long telephoto lens to see what she can snap. We're here with Kelvin from Cooloola Nature. How are you doing, mate?
Pretty well, thanks. Very well, thank you.
Excellent. And you guys are part of the ornithological team for the Cooloola Coast Care BioBlitz, is that right?
Yes, we are, yes, yes, we are. We're trying to collect as many bird species as we can. Not so much collect, but identify and record as many bird species as we can. Just to show that, because Cooloola has got so much of diversity of habitat as you see here. You've got the Melaleuca wetlands, you've got the heathlands out here and the mangroves, heathlands down the road there, and towards Byman and areas like that you've got rainforest and you've got open forest. So diversity of habitat means diversity of fauna.
Absolutely, and there is a huge range of habitats in a very small area here at the opening of the inlet here, and just generally Rainbow Beach overall.
There is, that's for sure, yes. There is very much so. You've got, and also with diversity of habitat, you get diversity within families of birds. Like with your kingfishers, you've got your mangrove kingfisher. You've got your mangrove garrigony, you've got your mangrove honeyeater, right. the warblers. So and if you go further inland, you've got ones like your white-throated garrigony and your white-throated warbler and such forth and so on.
Yeah, right. And you can obviously hear a few of the chirpers up here. We're just going to get a bit of bird noise. So, what are most of these little ones? These little honeyeaters that are flicking around us?
Well, you have your brown honeyeater, which was here just before. The brown honeyeater's got one of the largest range of habitats of any of the honeyeaters. It goes from open forest, rainforest, heathlands, Melaleuca wetlands.
And they're right down here on the mangroves on the sandy beachfront as well.
They are, yes, yes. And you've got your mangrove honeyeater, which was here just before. There's a couple flittering.
Yeah, there they go.
Mangroves over there now, as well.
Yeah, wow. So a huge amount of diversity as well. Now, on the drive-in, Tin Can Bay, we got these lovely mangroves and wetlands here. I did hear that there is a chance of eastern curlews here. And then we get down here and you've already seen some this morning.
We have, yes. We actually had 75 eastern curlew.
What?
Which is quite a lot of birds for that species there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was just this morning, whereabouts?
This morning at Inskip Peninsula.
Wow. So, as we were speaking with Harry Sadler with the launch of his Eastern Curlew book recently, those things have potentially flown down from Siberia.
Yes, from upland Siberia, the tundra lands. Of all the different groups of birds, they are ones we really have to look after and pressure governments further to the north to do something about it, because what they do when they migrate from the tundra regions down, they have stop-off points. They come down along the East Asian Australasian flyway, and they stop off in little areas of wetlands to refuel. And what's happening up around China and Korea, whatever, they're reclaiming areas of wetlands, putting up seawalls.
Yeah, basically large areas around the Yellow Sea and that kind of area.
That's right, yes. And so the numbers of waders are actually dropping. We've seen that. We do regular monthly wader counts for the Queensland Wader Study Group. And we've noticed that ourselves among the different varied birds like the great knots, red knots, tattlers, curlew sandpipers. The numbers are dropping, and here is one of the main areas where they stop off to feed and build up reserves of fat.
Yeah, so this is one of their very important migratory points along the East Australian Australasian flyway, particularly coming down here between breeding seasons, I understand?
Yes, they breed in the tundra regions and the northern regions, and they're very short summers up there. And when the tundra starts to freeze over, the adults fly south, and the young follow later on. And they arrive around here around about September, and they fly back further north up again around about April, May. They turn around and fly back up north again.
Isn't it just incredible? Yeah, isn't it just incredible that the birds that you're seeing just out here, 75 of them, may at any point over the next 12 months be anywhere along the East Australian Australasian flyway, all the way up through South Korea, North Korea, even all the way up to the tundra eventually.
That's right. They do. Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of habitat for us to have to protect for them as well. I mean, that's a lot of important stopovers for them along the way.
It is, very much so, yes. And not only that, species such as that could be greatly affected by climate change too as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because when they go to roost, they roost on little areas of sand spits only about less than a metre above the sand. As the tide rises, well, they could be in trouble too as well.
Yeah, and any climate change-induced water level issues are going to be a big problem for them.
That's for sure.
Now, on the drive through, we saw some black-shouldered kites. We saw some pretty amazing raptors on the way through. Is there anything that in particular that we might be expecting to see? Some white-bellied sea eagles, obviously, might be a chance while we're here.
Well, definitely, yes. Just out there before, we had a white-breasted sea eagle, 2 Brahminy kites. Sorry, we had a white-breasted sea eagle, adult and juvenile and immature or juvenile. And we had a Brahminy kite and 2 whistling kites.
Wow, that's a lot of raptor diversity.
It is, yes, for sure. And as well, also, you do get here osprey too as well.
Oh, wow, that would be fantastic.
The osprey, yes. So we're really rich. Our region here, Cooloola, is one of the richest areas in biodiversity up and down the whole east coast of Australia, because what you have here is the tropical vegetation coming through. You've got the temperate vegetation coming through, the western vegetation and the coastal, all meeting in this one particular area. And that provides you a terrific lot of habitat diversity. As I said before, diversity of habitat means diversity of fauna. And so you've got a terrific lot of diversity of bird species here as well, which is, for bird watchers, or twitchers as they call them, is great draw card for our region here. That's what we want to actually promote.
Absolutely, and I understand through your organisation, Cooloola Nature, you guys do some not only bird listings and studies and environmental education, but some bird trails of Cooloola, and you're trying to encourage some walks and some more, I guess, ecotourism in terms of bird watching and twitching.
That is right too. On our website, Birding Cooloola, we have a project called Bird Trails of Cooloola. For each site that we have up on our web page, and there's probably around about present moment around about 11, we have brochures and a special web page for each of those. So people can go to our website and see the different sites around here, like Mullins Creek, you've got Inskip Peninsula, you've got Stirling's Crossing, and we do regular seasonal bird walks along the bird trails. So if people go to our website to along the bird trails with Cooloola Nature, they can contact us through email and register for a walk along the bird trails.
And you can check out some of the amazing species around, such as potentially the eastern curlew if you're here at the right time of year.
Yes, you can check out the eastern curlew. You can check out other birds such as inland. You've got your paradise rifle bird. You've got your green cat bird. And you've got a whole stack of birds around here you can find. And you've got a beautiful male scarlet honeyeater. Look at the colours on that.
Well. Oh wow, he's just behind us.
There's 2 above us.
Oh my God.
The scarlet honeyeater.
Well, look, that's the advantage of sitting still and doing a podcast for a little minute sometimes.
That's right. They are really gems of the forest, those fellas there.
Wow, it is absolutely stunning. Look at him just happily cruising around in the mangrove leaves.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. All right, Kelvin, thank you so much for your time. We're going to probably head on back to base camp and see what else is going on at the BioBlitz. But this has been super awesome, and I guess we'll hope to catch up with you soon.
Right, and thank you very much.
All right, and that's Cooloola Nature. What's the website that people can find that at as well?
birdingcooloola.org.au.
birdingcooloola.org.au for everybody who's keen to get onto the bird trails of Cooloola. All right, thank you very much, Kelvin. You have a good day.
Right, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. We'll talk soon. Okay, we're back here at the Rainbow Beach Community Hall. That's right. And we're back at the Cooloola Coast Care BioBlitz home base here. We're with Dr. Lindy Orwin. She's actually with Cooloola Coast Care Inc. and she's helping organise this wonderful BioBlitz. How's it all going so far?
It's been an exciting time for us here. We've had 15 local and visiting scientists who've led teams out today to collect insects, visit Inskip Point to see the mangroves. They've found multiple different varieties. They've been beating the bushes and finding spiders that have been undescribed by science. So it's been an exciting day.
It has. Like we've only been here for half of it, and we've met some incredibly passionate, incredibly talented, and very dedicated people. Not just the professionals, but a lot of the people volunteering as well.
Surprisingly, some of our leaders are actually amateurs. They have day jobs, but they are recognised as Australian leaders in their fields because of that passion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where a lot of us get inspired, and carrying that into your, scientific career is it gives you a bit of longevity when you're really passionate about your study organisms, right?
Yep, absolutely. Passion is everything, because that's what keeps the enthusiasm up when you're out on a cold night looking for frogs at 1 a.m, like our frog leaders were last night, just prepping for the frog walk tonight. So there's a lot of dedication. Which we are hugely looking forward to. We've already had a bit of a chat with them, and we do actually have to mention here Mr. Ben Revell, Ben Revell from the Vice President of the Queensland Frog Society. Now, you may have slipped to us that he actually has a spider named after him. Yes, he does. It's quite a process to actually get that to happen. Most people think if you discover it, then it will be named after you, but you actually have to go through a process of registering an example and having it validated that it is a new species, and Ben went through that process, and it is now Ben Revelli, the spider.
Yeah, Ornodolometes Ben Revelli.
That's him.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna have to pull him up on not letting us know that. I'm going to sneak it in on him next time we chat. Now, that was actually a pretty interesting discovery. It came around through QuestaGame, which you also work for, is that correct?
Yes, I do. I started playing QuestaGame, which is a game that maps biodiversity. It's a bit like Pokemon Go meets David Attenborough. So instead of chasing imaginary creatures, you actually chase native animals and plants of Australia and try and identify them for in-game gold. But the cool thing about it is all of those sightings that can be made from children even are harvested into the Atlas of Living Australia as sightings and then downloaded by scientists to use that data.
Right, so just like a lot of the data from this BioBlitz, which will be going to the Atlas of Living Australia, location records with GPSs and species and times and dates, QuestaGame does that same thing basically as an open citizen science gaming app. Is that right?
That's it. And it's fun to play. It engages more young people especially to play. They can join clans and play together. They can play player against player and have friendly competitions.
Who can ID more species in the local park?
Exactly. And
I would love that. I'm going to kick everybody's ass.
Good luck with that. If you see Regina, one of our top players, she's pretty hard to beat.
Oh, it's going to be a challenge.
Absolutely. And the project that I'm managing at the moment is a competition between universities all over the world. And we're aiming at having 100 universities become involved this year, for 2019. And we had 20 last year and over 50,000 sightings and IDs.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, first of all, it does sound like a lot of fun. And getting involved in citizen science is always really cool. But I hear that it's growing by about 25% each month, just getting more and more people into studying biodiversity, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. And we also have tons of scientists who help us do the IDs, so they're all verified IDs, so that we know exactly what they are to different levels based on the images that are uploaded. But you can also play the game just as ID. So an expert can come in and say, well, I don't want to do the gaming side of spotting. I want to do the IDing side, and they get gold for that. But that gold can get cashed out for real money. But it doesn't go to the idea. You nominate a conservation cause of your choice from our partners. So
that's fantastic.
People can register, like Cooloola Coast Care is a registered partner. So anyone doing IDs who earns that gold can cash it out for a donation to us.
That's incredible. And as we said, all this data does feed into the ALA for the overall picture. And speaking of which, as of May 2018, there was over 168 million records already. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Wow. That is growing at a ridiculous rate. I guess, what do you think the ceiling is? Do you think by the end of a couple of years, everybody in Australia is going to pretty much be playing QuestaGame on their weekend?
That would be my goal.
All right. Well, look, let's make it happen. Hey, anybody who wants to challenge me to a QuestaGame battle, I'll get involved. Just hit me up. It'll be great. Now, I understand you're also the convener of the Gympie Regional STEM Hub.
Yes, I am. That's sponsored by Inspiring Australia, and we try and get all of the science, technology, engineering, maths-based groups in the community to work with the public. So just a week ago, we ran a science fair for 2 days that had 32 different activities over the 2 days, from masterclasses in QuestaGaming and virtual reality, programming, robots, drones, down to biodiversity experiences with, we had land care doing things, we had the Environmental Education Centre, we had an artist in residence doing sci-arts printing of our 24 priority species for the Gympie region that will be made into a banner that travels to other festivals.
Wow.
So we had 900 kids involved from grade 4, 5 and 6 from schools in the region. So we're trying to raise the awareness of science, technology, engineering and maths as a community participation event, not just a career, and that science can be part of your everyday life.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's obviously with so many new, technologies and mediums, there's a lot of new ways to do science communication, such as, just for example, gaming.
Absolutely. But not only that, we're trying to put together an eco-film program for youth so that we have a local marine biologist who's a world-famous underwater cameraman as well. And so he and I are working together at the moment for a grant to run movie making about eco topics for our young Attenboroughs.
That's fantastic. So, kids out here will be able to get into documentary filmmaking and, things of that nature, basically.
Absolutely. And maybe even some podcasting.
Oh, maybe even some podcasting. Oh, we're always looking for some up-and-coming podcast talent.
Absolutely. And we've got plenty of it here.
I'm sure we do. Look, there's so much amazing ecosystem all throughout Australia. It's not surprising to think that probably somewhere there's the next, science wizard picking up rocks and looking underneath them right now.
Absolutely. If you think of one of our QuestaGamers, the player Grisper, he's only 12 and he can already tell you the name of every Australian bird scientific name label, and he's 12.
That's better than me at 12.
Absolutely. Better than most of us at 12.
You knew me at 12?
I can tell.
All right. Well, look, we better wrap it up here and see what else is going on with this BioBlitz. But Dr. Lindy Orwin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Thank you so much for inviting us up to BioBlitz. And we can't wait to see how the rest of the day goes. This is a super awesome event. Urge everybody to get involved. Check out Cooloola Coast Care Inc. and also check out the Gympie Regional STEM Hub sponsored by Inspiring Australia. Is that right?
That's it. And don't forget to put in your calendar the weekend of May 17th, 2019, because that's when we're planning our next BioBlitz. Come to paradise.
Oh, so the next BioBlitz is already planned?
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, where can people check out QuestaGame?
At QuestaGame.com.
That's nice and easy. QuestaGame.com, people. Get involved. All right, guys. We'll talk soon. Bye. All right, what's up, everybody? We're back out in the field on BioBlitz, and we're going to do some reptile observations with any luck. We're heading out to see the vertebrate people, and we got some extras in the car in the back with us. Some BioBlitzers, guys. Who have we got here?
So I'm Lana, and I like looking at bryophytes, so mosses, liverworts and hornworts, and I also love fungi as well.
And I'm Sandra, and I love mycorrhizal fungi, the silly arms underground that connect rainforests into one superorganism, and how fungi that are the other types that degrade wood and feed the rest of the forest actually decompose all kinds of things, including heavy metals, or eat heavy metals and plastics, as well as oil and other spills and pollutants.
And I'm Vivian. I'm working with the beetles that actually eat fungi. So that's cool.
So we've got three mycologist people.
I'm an entomologist.
Entomologist,
but work with fungi also.
That's fascinating. That's very, very cool. And so when did you guys get up here? How long have you been on out at BioBlitz?
Since yesterday.
Since yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And is this everybody's first time doing the BioBlitz?
Yes. I went to Fraser Island last year with these guys.
Oh, with Cooloola?
Yeah, with Fido.
Oh, with Fido, Fraser Island Defenders Organisation.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, this is my first BioBlitz, and I'm super excited. We're doing the reptile things right now. Is there anything that you guys are particularly keen to see, or just happy to find out what's in the
Anything that's alive works for me.
So I'm obviously hoping for some venomous snakes.
Snakes,
Yeah, let's get some serpents. And looks like everybody has pulled up next to us and is getting ready to hit the field. So, without any further ado, let's get out of the car and let's go check some reptiles. And we're back, everybody, and we're out in the field, surrounded by some lovely banksias and some grass trees, and we're with Mr. Chris Sanderson. How are you doing today, man?
Yeah, pretty good. It's always nice being out in the field.
Yeah, nice. So we've already been walking around doing a bit of observation, and we're looking for vertebrates at the moment. You're leading the vertebrate search of the Cooloola Coast Care BioBlitz. Is that about right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. We're looking for everything, really. My skills are in vertebrate identification, but we're catching insects and taking them back for all the experts in their particular fields to identify for us.
So inverts, vertebrates, whatever we can find?
Pretty much, yeah.
Excellent. And so have you spent a lot of time up in these kind of habitats in the Wollemi Heath, or is this a little bit special for you?
No, I've spent a fair bit of time in Wollemi Heath. I've seen most of the special vertebrates that you can see up here, apart from a couple of very difficult skinks that live underground.
So like the snake-tooth skink, are we still looking for him, or have you found him already?
No, that one, and also there's a really cool one that's just in the Cooloola region called Ophioscincus cooloolensis.
Yeah, the Ophioscincus, of course, yes.
So, that I haven't seen those yet, but we're having a bit of a look around just to see what we can find, because this is a bush blitz. We're not particularly looking for specific things. We're looking to find as many different things as we possibly can to get a sort of a snapshot of what's here at the moment.
Wonderful. All right, well, look, I guess we should keep following the rest of the crew. Now, you're at ANU at the moment as a research officer, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm working on a grant that we won last year to build a citizen science project around collecting butterfly sightings.
Wow. Okay. So look, obviously, BioBlitz with all of the citizen science people here, it's a great place to meet a lot of other citizen science minded people. There seems to be a lot of that going on. What drew you to citizen science for butterflies?
Well, citizen science is something I've been involved in for a long time. So I worked for BirdLife Australia for a while, running citizen science projects for them. And so I guess that kind of opened my eyes to how important it can be, not just from the point of view of you're getting data that you'd never get if you had to try and pay professionals to do the work, but also just that the benefits to the community from the education they can get and the experiences that they wouldn't be able to have in any other way. Is also quite important. So there's just all these benefits that you get from running citizen science.
Yeah, right. And that seems to be kind of the general consensus that I've spoken with everybody, that getting the community involved, getting the local people involved, getting them excited about biodiversity, and also, getting them out in the field and getting them in touch with their own local ecosystems is a huge part of it.
Yeah, that's right. And look, we picked butterflies for a particular reason, because there's a lot of citizen science going on around birds at the moment, and I guess a really interesting figure for me is that for birds as a group, the Atlas of Living Australia, which is the big national database of records, has something like 40 plus million records in it for birds, and there's only a few 100,000 for all moths and butterflies.
Wow. So I know we always invertebrates are going to be underrepresented. People prefer to work with large, fuzzy, fluffy things, as we generally do. People prefer to go bird watching than insect spotting. But it's surprising that this hasn't happened for butterflies in particular, which people seem to be fairly fond of.
That's right. People really love butterflies, and we've actually had a hugely positive response to the concept of what we're doing. So I have we're still a way off being able to actually start collecting data, but I have a really good feeling about how many people are going to be engaged by this. And the thing is, when I pitched for the grant, for one of the things that I said to the government was, you could spend this money doing another project on vertebrates, and you could add to our knowledge of those things for sure, but it's orders of magnitude more useful to do it for a group of invertebrates. And for me, butterflies was an ideal flagship species for that, just to prove the concept, because people do like them. It's not like trying to get people excited about something like spiders, which they're afraid of.
Right.
Even though spiders are really cool. And I think we should do this for spiders eventually.
Agreed.
But I think that, butterflies, you don't have to get over that initial hurdle. And there are people out there who are already looking at them and photographing them and even collecting data on them, and even collecting specimens. And those people don't have anywhere to put that information at the moment. So in some ways, we're just giving them a place to put what they're already doing. But in the process, we'll hopefully recruit a few new people and get more people interested and excited about doing some citizen science.
Right. And look, as we mentioned, data deficient is probably the best way to describe most invertebrates. But, there is a little bit of, butterfly taxonomy, and has been for a long time. And it is fascinating. They're beautiful. They got great patterns. You basically just need a net to kind of run around and catch them. You don't need any snake hooks or special trapping equipment. So I can see why it would be an attractive project, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes all you need is a camera. A lot of even the really small flighty ones, if you can stand, 4 or 5 meters away with a longer lens and take a photo, you can get something that's perfectly good for identification. Not all species, but certainly most. And I think we've got an expert, Michael Braby, who wrote the field guide for butterflies of Australia, involved in the project. And we've had lots of discussions about what we might get out of this in the long term. And the thing that really blew my mind sort of at the beginning when we were talking about what benefits this could have was there's a lot of species of butterflies we know very little about. Like there's a group of species called ant blues where we only know the life cycle of, I think, about 2 of the 10 or so species that exist.
Yeah, so data deficient, a lot of data deficient.
Right, and I mean, maybe ant blues are going to be hard for people to get into to begin with, but there's a whole number of species, particularly in places like Cape York and the wet tropics, that we've never seen what the caterpillars look like. We maybe don't know what plants they live on, and sometimes we can take educated guesses in terms of what other related species do, but there's actually a lot of information that we can get out of doing something like this that people will come across who maybe don't realize they're finding out something new for the very first time, but by having this project for them to go and contribute to, they'll actually be contributing to our scientific knowledge in a way that experts haven't been able to yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And personally, I can imagine a lot of people getting excited about that prospect, right? Once you can contribute to something that is a little bit outside of yourself, it does give you something to drive towards for sure.
And look, we are discovering new species of butterflies for Australia every year or so. So
there's plenty of new species to be found and named out there, people.
So it is entirely possible that through this we may well discover some new species. And, maybe new moths as well. We are starting with butterflies, but, there's a lot of moths that look a lot like butterflies. So, we might get some of those kinds of things to begin with by accident. But eventually, again, we're looking at going beyond just butterflies eventually.
Yeah, right. Well, look, very cool. I suppose we better get into the field and not let the volunteers do all the work and let you do your professional duties. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right, man. Thank you for your time. All right, everybody. We'll be back if we find anything cool. Cheers, y'all. All right, everybody. We're back on the road and heading out of Rainbow Beach. BioBlitz for us is over, but for the rest of the crew down at Cooloola Coast Care, I think they're staying around for another day. So they've got a few more days of running around the ecosystems here and IDing as many species as they possibly can, and adding all that to their tally. Christian, how you doing, man? I'm tired.
Oh, Yanni, I'm very tired too, man. I'm definitely not used to walking that much.
Yeah, bit of field work introduction to Mr. Christian on sound production today. Very good to see you out there, man, and getting involved, taking samples, taking photos, man. Did you have fun? Did you enjoy the BioBlitz experience?
Yeah, it was definitely a blast. It's great I mean, it's just great to get out in the sunshine and smell the beautiful fresh air, yet alone, you know, see lots of really incredible landscapes, environments. Saw a lot of spiders.
Yeah, heaps and heaps of spiders. And, you know, honestly, if there's anything that I'm a little bit disappointed about, it's the fact that it didn't rain like it was supposed to. We had some rain scheduled for the forecast, which would have really brought out some more reptiles and frogs, which we didn't really see a whole lot of fauna today, which is, you know, always a bit unfortunate, but those are the conditions, them's the breaks when you're out doing field work. But the cool thing is we did get to speak with a lot of really amazing ecologists and see some really cool plant life as well. You know, being outside and IDing and working with all these animals, super cool. And then doing it with people with a like-minded, I guess, outlook about biodiversity and ecosystems and environment is, it kicks ass, right?
Yeah, it's very energizing, I would say. Just the passion, the pure sort of passion of these people is really quite infectious.
A serious zeal for wildlife. They're all infectiously keen on whatever, you know, group of organisms we're chasing. We had 3 mycologists in the back of the car. Well, 2 mycologists and an entomologist who works with fungi. So you know, seeing them run around and you know, get super excited and amped up about fungi and all their different properties, different species, and the, you know, amazing diversity of fungal stuff is, you know, that's something that, you know, you wouldn't normally get to experience, you know, outside of sort of the biological academic setting. So having these mycologists and these other ecologists, these ornithologists, the plant biologists, the vertebrate biologists, and, you know, on top of that, you know, some members of the local community and just interested volunteers, it's like it's an energizing mix.
Yeah, terrific community. You couldn't have asked for them to be more sort of welcoming than they were for us today, and really show us, you know, what it's all about, especially me, not so much you, but to see, to understand what this field work is about and why, and to see directly why they are so interested in it and why they're so passionate about it.
And it is incredible, you know, some of those areas, you know, that, like they were mentioning, there was an area that there was 4 confirmed plant species had been recorded from. Now, it's a forest. There's clearly more than 4. It just hasn't been done. And without that data, you know, there's no real sort of baseline to base management plans off. So off these people go. Botanists, volunteers, professionals, you know, members of the community, and out they go. And they came out with something like, was it like 40-something species for that one area that was previously, they only had 4 recorded. Now, those species were always there. You know, well, not always, but they've been there. They just have gone unrecorded, unnoted. And all of that data helps local ecosystem and environmental managers, particularly people like Cooloola Coast Care, Fraser Island Defenders Organisation, and all of the other, you know, amazing environmental groups that are up here in the sort of Great Sandy National Park area. It helps them do their job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see now there is a real value in this kind of work, even just beyond, you know, getting people together and so getting outside and enjoying our landscape.
There's definitely that social community aspect of getting people engaged in citizen science, which is really important, and getting people excited about biodiversity, excited about their ecosystems. Super cool. But one of the best ways to do that, I think, is, you know, letting the volunteers in the community get involved in something with actual scientific merit behind it, like a BioBlitz. A BioBlitz like this is a little bit more than just going out herping or, you know, taking a couple of snaps. It really is trying to lock down some of the, you know, key and baseline species data and distributions for an area on like a bit of a finer scale. So yeah, look, big ups to Cooloola Coast Care Inc., Fraser Island Defenders Organisation, Dr. Lindy, Orwin. Thank you so much, everybody, for letting us come up. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been super nice, beautiful environment, and, you know, a lot of diversity and a lot of great people. So I have had a killer time, and the next Cooloola Coast Care BioBlitz is already planned for next year, I believe.
Yep, and We'll be there if we can, absolutely.
if we have our way, we'll be there every single
with
one.
bells on. Yeah, every BioBlitz all over Australia. So send us those funds, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, look, guys, check him out. Get involved in BioBlitz. You can look up Cooloola Coast Care Inc. And also check out QuestaGame, fantastic biodiversity, biodiscovery, online social science, citizen science, interactive game app. You can download it to your phone and you can challenge your neighbor. Say, hey, I can find more species in my backyard than you. You suck. I'm gonna find them. And then the challenge is laid down. And that's how we're gonna improve species biodiscovery and citizen science around Australia.
Well, exactly. Not only is it some friendly competition, but it's also valuable data.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Most importantly, of course.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's getting out here with, again, sharing that passion, sharing those people who do have that enthusiasm for this kind of stuff. Yeah, whole lot of fun, super energizing, and yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right, Yanni, well, it's been a big day and we've still got probably about an hour drive to get home.
More than that, my friend.
Okay, I'm being a bit optimistic there.
Yes, you are. Yeah, we got a way to go, but yeah, nonetheless, I think that's us signing off for the rest of the evening, and plenty more wildlife cake and cocktails action coming at you guys in the future. So talk soon.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook, add us on Twitter, Instagram. We've got some Google Plus as well. I'm not sure who uses that, but
you can find us on Podbean, on all the podcast platforms. So yeah, we'll see you all out there soon.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.